Welcome back to Shorebilly Farmer. Well, as you can see, we are now spraying corn. We're doing the last pass in the field, unless we deem it necessary to come back and spray a fungicide, which in most cases we'll put that on with an airplane. We'll pay a crop duster to come out. Or if we decide we want to put a little bit more nitrogen on. But right now, we've put on about 160 pounds of total nitrogen. Some years we shoot for 200, some years we don't. This might be a year where we just let it be. We got good growing conditions. We do have, we are following up behind a soybean crop, which is supposed to give you roughly 30 pounds of nitrogen credit, because soybeans are a legume and they actually put nitrogen back into the soil. So where we had soybeans on this farm last year, that would get us up to about 190 pounds of nitrogen to the acre. So that's why we might hold back on putting any more nitrogen on and just let it be good. As you can see, we spray our corn a little bit later than most folks because we have the drops on that spray it down in between the row. And the reason being is now the ground is pretty well shaded. And once that canopy fills in, and what I'm talking about canopy is when you look at the corn, you can still see some dirt between the row, but see how the leaves are starting to intertwine with each other? That's the canopy. So once that canopy really fills in completely, then the ground is completely shaded and it's a lot harder for weeds to germinate. That's not a milkshake. Don't eat it. I was telling them how we have to explain everything to millennials. You don't eat Tide Pods, the corn isn't candy corn, and not to eat the milkshake. So what we're spraying right now is actually the first field that we planted this year. And if you go back a few videos, when it was really young, only about ankle high, maybe shin high, I was real concerned about it. It was very uneven. It did not have good color. Now it's still a little uneven, but it has certainly come out of it after we dumped that nitrogen on here. I still don't know what to make of the in-furrow just yet. I just don't know. Looking at this, it seems like it did all right, but I just wonder how much of it was just recovery from all the nitrogen we put on after the fact. So in case you're wondering how that new ground is doing, that we did all the dirt work on and took all the trees off of this year, this is it. I'd say it looks pretty good. This is where the big mound was that we got rid of and threw the dirt that way with the excavator and did all them circles with the tractor. Drug it out and made it pretty smooth. And then this is the other part of the field here that was all in grass. Now we've already hit this once with Roundup just to keep we had some wiregrass coming into it, and that knocked it out pretty good. And now we're doing the final lay of the herbicide now, and that's it. But it's some of the best looking corn we got, honestly. It's uneven, which you kind of expect on real sandy ground, but especially up here where it's a little bit darker, not as much sand, it's pretty even, and it's the tallest corn we got. It's all the way up to the top of the hood here on the sprayer. Now this is it, see? The hard work paid off. Well, as long as there's ears on it. Anybody else have domesticated deer that just don't care how close to them you get? I mean, they're eating soybeans. Luckily, they're not ours, but I still don't want to see them tearing up another farmer's stuff. But they don't care. A van literally just stopped right there and was looking at them and didn't move. They're stubborn. It's like Yogi Bear of the Eastern Shore. They're just going to eat no matter what. Don't mind me, guys. Just spraying corn. You keep eating. I mean, why not? I pay taxes. That goes to everybody else's food too anyway. Might as well let them eat what we work for. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking this up, but you see all the reflection coming back at me? This windshield is curved, and when that sun gets in the perfect spot, it comes in and acts as like a collector or a magnifying glass and bounces right back at me in my eyes, and I can't see nothing. I mean, I get glimpses of where the corn is at, and that's it. You know, it's very illuminating. See what I did there? It was, you just forget it. I'll get back spraying. Done, finished, finito for the day. Anyway, not done everything, but we did cover 130 acres of corn today, and I didn't get started till a little after 4. Not bad. That 130 acres was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different fields. So yeah, it was a productive day. But there's no sense in pushing it tonight. I mean, I could keep spraying a little bit longer, but the last 2 fields that need to get sprayed now are far away. But anyway, let's go do it for today. I'm gonna go home, play with the kids for just a little bit, maybe kiss the cat and kick the missus. I don't know. Gonna be a good sunset. First thing, we've got to go hook the land all back up. Let's see, is there even any oil in there? Yep, still got the dino bones. One of these days, they're gonna coalesce and turn back into a dinosaur and jump out. But they're gonna have a harder time with that Amsoil in there. That stuff's slick. Anyway, so I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. It's just one of them mornings. Let's get this open. Gotta pump our seat up. Okay, so what we are doing is hooking the land all up to go disc up some soybeans. Mother Nature can be very ironic and cruel. So we planted our soybeans over at Eugene's about a week and a half ago, and by now they should be, about that tall, maybe a little taller. But what happened was, the day after we planted, we had a storm front move in, and they were calling for. Got it. Okay. So they were calling for a storm system with some rain, and we knew it was coming, but it was only supposed to be 3/4 of an inch or so. Well, what ended up happening was, in 20 minutes we got 1.5 inches of rain, and then the storm just kind of sat over top of us and rounded it out with about it was just a shade over 3 inches in a total of about 7 hours. We got 1.5 inches of it in 20 minutes, and the remainder came over the next 6 hours and some. Anyway, what happens with that is the rain packs the ground really hard, for one, and some of the beans had trouble coming up through that packed ground. However, in the higher spots, the higher areas, it did come up enough that we had a good enough stand that the field would have still been viable. But in the heavier, wetter, darker ground, there was so much inundation, so much water laying on the beans that they just rotted, essentially. We went back and scouted yesterday, and the beans were there, but when we started digging them up, we were just seeing a lot of the beans had swollen and actually split open underground, and once that happens, that's it. They're done. They're not going to germinate any further. And we were also seeing a lot of cotyledons, which is, as the bean comes out of the ground, it's the actual soybean that comes out of the ground and unfurls and turns into the first leaf. Well, that cotyledon kind of comes up like a knuckle and extends out of the ground. It's actually pushed out of the ground by its root. Unlike corn, where the seed stays in the ground, the cotyledon comes out. Well, if the ground is hard, that cotyledon pushes up against the surface as hard as it cannot bust through the surface, and what ends up happening is it just dives back down into the soil, and once it reaches a certain stage in its growth, if it doesn't see sunlight, it's not going to grow, and the neck will break off of the the soybean, and that's it. So we love farming so much, we're going to do it twice. It happens. I mean, there's the one nice thing I will say, where we deal pretty much 100% with Pioneer, the seed is 100% covered, meaning Eugene does not have to spend any more money. And this is the field where we got to do the work at. You can see there are still some beans up here, but there's a lot of patches that don't have any, especially when you get over the hill back there, there's nothing. But part of buying Pioneer seed is that they guarantee their seed to perform. And when weather takes out that seedling, takes out that seed, and it does not germinate and perform, and you have to replant, Pioneer covers it. Again, that's one of the reasons why we go with Pioneer so much. Now, I'm not against DCOB or any of the other companies, Asgrow, Channel. We're not against any of those. It's just in our trial after trial for the last few years, the Pioneer always seemed to do the best for us, and that's what we went with. So that's a nice added feature. That is kind of why the seed is a little more expensive, is because you have that assurance for situations like this. When we're filling up with fuel, we got a little hydraulic leak here, so hopefully it's not the hose and it's just a loose fitting. Oh. Don't have the right one. Problem solved. That's an easy fix. Just a hose fitting that had somehow backed off. So I'll take those kinds of repairs every day and twice on Sunday, because that would probably be the easiest repair we do all year. You can see there's some beans in there, but they're very, very sparse, and it's not really enough. And then you get up to the high ground up here, and you can start seeing the beans re-emerge. So you can see, like right here, the beans have come up really good, but then as soon as you get down here into the wet, there's nothing there. Let's see if we can find a bean here that's, here we go, here's a good example. So this is the actual soybean seed. You see here, it has come up, and here's its taproot right there. So this root is pushing the original bean, which this is the bean that's split in half right there, and that turns into the first flower. So you can see here's one that's a little bit further along. This thick petal here, that is the original bean. That is the soybean, and now it's starting to put off some leaves. That's just a morning glory weed. But this, at this stage where the bean is coming up and unfurrowing, this is what's known as the cotyledon, the actual bean. But yeah, it's pretty pitiful. I mean, there's a lot of areas, and normally in a low spot like this, we would just come in, leave the whole field, and replant the low spot. Because when you look at it this way, it does look like there's plenty of beans here. But when you walk over to it, there's entire rows that didn't come up. There's big patches, even in the higher ground. There's these big 1 and 2 acre patches blotted throughout the field that didn't come up. And by the time you drag the planter over those patches and ride over to good beans to get to the bad ones, you've done more damage to the good beans and further lowered the population. And beans are one of those things that population's pretty critical. You really want to have a good stand, an evenly dispersed stand. If you plant them too thick, the beans will grow really tall because they're fighting for sunlight and they'll lodge with one another. Too sparse, they grow real bushy, and then when they dry down, there's a lot of open area and they can blow over a lot easier because they're not protected by one another, if you will. So I hate to do it because there are beans here and it looks decent in spots, but it's one of them things, you gotta do it. Eugene said it best yesterday when we were out here scouting all this, and that is, you only have one chance to make money when you plant this crop. So you gotta make sure that the crop is healthy in its early stages. Otherwise, you're starting off at a disadvantage and you've already lost money. So yes, we're burning fuel. Yes, we're putting more wear and tear on equipment, but the chance to make money is going to be much better if we just do away with all of it and replant it. because the parts that are good, there's just not enough of them to warrant keeping any of it. We got plenty of time left in the season to replant. It's not very late. It's the right thing to do. All right, I'm gonna go spray. Eugene is gonna jump on the Landau and finish this up. We ran around and hit all the wettest spots of the farm to let this sunshine dry it out some. And then he's gotta run the fire truck with me down to my farthest farm away from here. I'm gonna hit a farm on my way out with the sprayer. The truck will be there so I can fill up. It's, you know, it's plan A. Give it time, we'll be on plan W or X or something. Making milkshakes?
Yep, what's that? Vanilla only.
So we've developed a squeak somewhere, a bearing or something. You know it's not a belt, doesn't sound like a belt. We put some WD-40 behind all of the pulleys back where the bearings would be to try to see if we could quiet it down. You don't think it'd be the power steering pump or
it's in here.
alternator?
I don't think it's alternator, but when I take the belt off, we can find
Well,
out.
go ahead. We got, now that's off, see if you can douse that alternator.
There it is. It's alternator.
Hot.
Touch it.
No, you can touch it if you're not. that's like sticking your finger in dog crap. So here, smell it if you don't believe me.
It's just burning up. It's burning that alternator.
All right. We gotta get alternator. See if you can get down in there now, because it was blowing it out before.
Yeah.
Think we can limp it out there?
Yeah.
So while I was driving here to the field, when I pushed forward on the hydrostat, I could feel the sprayer jumping. It sounded like it was vibrating. And usually that's because this main drive belt that we just replaced and this spring, I guess where the belt was new, it is stretched out a little bit. So we got to put a little bit more tension on this before I can actually go to spray, because we don't want to tear it up. So easy thing to do. It's just got to get done. Okay, that is calibrated to John Deere specifications. I had my elbow calibrated not long ago, and I know it's right where it's supposed to be, by the book.
We need to oil the belt.
Oil the belt. Yeah, check belt fluid. Belt fluid was getting low. I'd like to think I operate pretty haphazardly, and that's not one of those jobs where I want to go until it sounds expensive. We believe the bearing in the alternator is going bad, and that's what that squeal is. We doused the heck out of it with some WD-40 on the back side of the bearing to try to get it to limp along. This is likely going to be the last trip this truck makes to the field this year. We still have to return some of these totes back to the co-op. We just got to get a new alternator. You know, I mean, it's 150 bucks maybe, something like that. It's only money. I mean, farmers got it. We got the money. That's what everybody thinks. That's okay. I guess if they want to think I'm a millionaire, then I'm cool with that. I can't, you know, hand out gift cards to strangers. That'd be cool, but I can't do it. Preach, Lon. The chow truck came. She brought me lunch. Ain't she beautiful? She's hanging around because I just gave her a crash course in how to fly the drone. I figured there's only one of two ways this is going to work. She flies the drone and I spray, or she sprays and I fly the drone. The drone is cheaper and it's got autopilot. I think we'll be okay here. busy chasing me with drones and everything. Bye, honey. I think Jim the seed guy doesn't like us, or he thinks we need exercise. What's this crap, Jim? You brought us bags? Nah, we're just kidding. We told Jim to do that. It's at this point, it's easier to mess with these bags for filling up the planter one time than messing with that big seed tender. Okay, let's fill hoppers. All right, there goes Eugene off the plant. All the spraying is done except for 10 acres, which is going to be about a week from now. We'll spray that. Whew, it's hot in here. Hot, hot, hot. Hot. So I've got to get going to, Katie's going to take me out to go get the fire truck and bring it back. Then I've got to jump in the shower, get cleaned up. I've got a meeting tonight I got to get to. So yeah, that's going to do it for us today. I can't think of anything that we did not get accomplished today. It's been a busy day, but we got it all done. Guys, if you like the content and what you're watching, I know we've been a little bit slow about getting videos out on time. The missus is getting backlogged because, well, I do a lot of filming and I don't make it easy on her. So bear with us. I know we're a couple weeks behind on our content coming out. It's not exactly on point, you know, a day or two after, but we're getting there. She's getting caught up. So if you guys can, give some words of encouragement for her, because she's doing an excellent job, and she's, you know, she's got to edit this to make it look good. That's a hard job. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing, please hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you all for watching. Goodbye from Delmarva, Shorebilly Farmer, out. So I just had the craziest thing happen. I had a crow flying in front of the truck here, and he was literally flying in front of me, like feet in front of the windshield, just cruising, not trying to get off the road or go high, just like, I don't know if he's like riding the wave of air in front of the truck or what. I tried getting the camera on, but I was like mesmerized by watching this. It was the only thing I could think of, for those of you that had kids and have watched Finding Nemo, was the turtle when they're riding one of the currents. The only thing I could think of was that turtle. Righteous, righteous, yeah. I've never seen a bird do that. I don't know if that's good luck or bad luck. I mean, I know if a black cat passes in front of you, it's supposed to be bad luck, but what do you do when you're flying at the butt end of a crow? I got to turn to you old timers for that. You got to help me with that one. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.